Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're breaking down CJC-1295 and Ipamorelin. It is the most popular growth hormone blend in all of peptides and the foundation so many stacks are built on. We're going to cover what it is and how it works and why the timing and the fasting matter so much and how it's run and what to expect and how to stack it and the red lines to respect. This is a real deep dive, so settle in. Everything here is education, not medical advice. We do honest, not hype. So let's get into it. So what is this in one line? CJC-1295 paired with Ipamorelin is a growth hormone secretagogue blend. That is a technical way of saying it does not give you growth hormone from the outside. Instead, it signals your own pituitary to release a bigger and more natural pulse of your own growth hormone with the gentlest side effect profile of any growth hormone combination out there. That is the whole appeal. Here is the mechanism, and it is elegant. Picture your pituitary as a reservoir of growth hormone with two faucets and one break. CJC-1295 is the first faucet. It mimics your body's own growth hormone releasing signal, the natural message that says release. Ipamorelin is the second faucet. It mimics ghrelin and opens growth hormone through a completely different doorway. And here is the clever part. Ipamorelin also quiets somatostatin. That is the hormone that normally tells your pituitary to stop. So it opens a faucet and lets off the brake at the same time. When both signals hit the same cells together, your pituitary fires a pulse larger than either peptide could produce alone. Not just added, but genuinely amplified, 3 to 5 times above baseline. That pulse is brief and it peaks around 30 minutes after you inject. Then your liver converts that growth hormone into IGF-1. And it is the IGF-1 that carries the real work over the next 12 to 20 hours by repairing tissue and mobilizing fat, and supporting your skin and connective tissue. Now the name matters because this is where people get tripped up. This protocol is for CJC-1295 without DAC. No DAC means short acting. It clears in about 30 minutes, so the pulse rises and falls naturally, and your own rhythm stays intact. There's a different version called CJC with DAC. It has a week-long half-life that holds growth hormone up around the clock and is dosed weekly and not nightly. So know which version you are holding. The timing is not a suggestion. It is part of the dose. The release peaks about 25 to 35 minutes after your shot and clears within a few hours. That is why bedtime fasted dosing is the standard. Your body already releases its single largest natural growth hormone pulse in the first hours of deep sleep. So pinning at bedtime stacks the peptide pulse right on top of that surge. And here is what people skip at their own expense. You inject sub-Q on an empty stomach at least about 2 hours after eating, and no food for about 30 minutes afterward. Why? Because glucose and insulin directly suppress growth hormone at the pituitary. Eat around your injection, and you blunt the very result you paid for. The fast is part of the dose. So what should you realistically expect? The first thing most people notice is sleep, and it often shows up within a few nights. Deeper and more restorative sleep, and sometimes vivid dreams. That is the effect with the clearest mechanism, because growth hormone is naturally tied to slow wave sleep. Over the following weeks, recovery between hard sessions gets noticeably faster and body composition slowly shifts, and you carry a little less around the middle. And in the later weeks, the connective tissue effects show up in your skin and joints and hair and nails. But here is the honest frame. This raises your own growth hormone within natural pulses. It is not synthetic HGH, and it will not act like it. The sleep and recovery benefits are well supported. The dramatic anti-aging and recomposition claims rest mostly on observational evidence, and there is no published trial on the pre-mixed blend itself. Results are gradual and measured in weeks to months and not days. If you are chasing dramatic muscle or fat loss in a couple of weeks, this is the wrong tool. It is a foundation and not a transformation. So how is it run? The governing principle is minimum effective dose and titrate only if you need to. A common reference starting point is 100 micrograms of CJC and 100 micrograms of Ipamorelin once nightly and fasted at bedtime. And remember, these are examples to finalize with the provider. Most people hold right there. Only add a second fasted morning pin if you genuinely want more after assessing how you respond. And respect the ceiling. Above roughly 300 micrograms of Ipamorelin in a single shot, you saturate the receptor. More does not give you more growth hormone. It only gives you more side effects. Cycle 12 to 16 weeks on, and then 4 weeks off to keep your pituitary responsive. Continuous stimulation dulls the response over time. One quick word on reconstitution. You compute this, and you never eyeball it. A 10 milligram blend vial reconstituted with 2.5 milliliters of bacteriostatic water makes 100 micrograms of each peptide, just 5 units on an insulin syringe. Change the water and every number changes. And that is exactly the math one pen runs against your actual vial. Now let's talk stacking, because this blend is mixable and it is one of the great foundation layers. Pair it with the Wolverine stack of BPC 157 and TB 500. BPC 157 upregulates growth hormone receptors in healing tissue, so every pulse lands harder right where you are repairing, and you can draw them together. You can also add GHK copper for skin and collagen and just draw the copper one last. What you do not combine it with is the DAC version because it fights the pulse. And skip somatostatin blockers like octreotide because they cancel growth hormone outright. Now the part we take seriously, who should think twice or skip this entirely? Anyone with active cancer or a history of malignancy should avoid growth hormone stimulation unless their oncologist clears it, because growth hormone and IGF-1 are growth signals and we respect the precautionary principle. If you have uncontrolled diabetes or real insulin resistance, be careful because growth hormone can raise blood sugar. If you have carpal tunnel, the early water retention can make it worse. And pregnancy and breastfeeding are hard stops because there is zero human safety data. Side effects are usually minor and pass quickly. A brief flush or head rush right after you pin is just vasodilation, and it settles in minutes. Mild water retention in the first week or two can cause temporary joint stiffness or a bit of tingling, and it almost always settles as your body adjusts. For monitoring, the single most useful lab is IGF-1. Check it before you start and again around week 6. If it is up, your axis is responding. If it is flat after 6 weeks of consistent fasted dosing, then something is off, and it is most likely the fasted window or the product. And beyond labs, just track your sleep and your recovery and your body composition over weeks and not days. That is the whole picture. CJC-1295 and Ipamorelin is the clean foundational growth hormone blend. 2 gentle levers on your own pituitary, written on top of your natural nighttime rhythm. It is not magic and it is not a shortcut, but run with patience and intention. It is one of the most reliable foundations in this entire space. And if you want to run it without doing math at midnight, that is exactly what we built one pin for. One tap imports the protocol and computes your exact draw and sets your bedtime reminder and tracks your cycle. Many compounds and many goals and one intentional pin. So wherever you are on your journey, come learn with us. The door is always open. And wherever today takes you, stay humble, be kind, spread love, and pay it forward. Unless you're in a drive-through, then pay it backwards. Bless up.